Let's go. Hello and welcome to Tanner and Nace Merge Podcast. We need a name for this, Tanner. Men's Roundtable, we'll call it today, won't we? Men's Roundtable. We have some really awesome guests come on and share a lot of stuff about men's health, men's pretty much everything, given what's going on right now with men. It's always good to have younger people, older people for the wide audience that Tanner and I have. So Stevie's a self-sabotage coach from our, from our program through Jason. Stevie's had an awesome story. I listened to his story with Tanner on his podcast, probably last year or the year before. It'd be good to put a link that to the bottom to hear more about Stevie's story. Stevie's done a lot of awesome things, completely transformed himself and his health. So Stevie, welcome today, mate. Stevie Toth. I knew I'd get I got there. Stevie
Got
Toth.
it.
He's awesome. So Stevie, welcome to our roundtable today. And I'll tell our listeners a bit about you and your story, and we'll delve into some awesome topics.
Sure. Yeah, I'm retired from the U.S. Army. I retired in 2012, 2014. I don't know why I can't ever remember that. It's been a while. So yeah, I've recovered from decades of alcohol abuse. I got into abusing opioids. I was a decades-long cigarette smoker. Basically ate out of a box. Cigarettes, burgers, and caffeine and alcohol were my four food groups for decades. So my life got miserable enough to do something about it. You know, I was kind of standing at the abyss, getting real close, and I kind of knew where that was headed, and decided to do a 180 and just see what that was about. I had some books laying around and started getting into Wim Hof and the breath work, ice baths, cold exposure. Became a vegetarian for about 18 months, organic food only. That really helped clean out the system. Now I just eat. I could be a vegetarian in the morning and a carnivore by dinner time. So kind of pay attention to my body instead of my head. So yeah, I had a lot of different careers, roadied for some rock and roll bands. Of course, did a lot of drugs and a lot of drinking and a lot of smoking back then. And that carried on for a long time. I kept looking for the ultimate party, until my mid 40s, to be quite honest. And then had bouts of misbehavior up into my 50s, and I'll be 57 this year, and pretty much don't drink anymore. Quit smoking cigarettes probably, I don't even know, 7, 8 years ago. I'm so glad I forgot. It's just like, I was thinking about it today. I had to beeline to the store to get some milk for the wife, and I had shortcut through the beer aisle, and I literally I get like nauseous now when I think about it. I go right to how I'm gonna feel the next day. I don't know. It's weird. It's been a slow it's been a slow thing to happen. But glad to report no desire to drink alcohol whatsoever. But yeah, that's just a little bit of my story. I could go on and on forever. I got hours and hours of stories. I know Tanner's heard a couple of them. We talked for a good hour and a half. But yeah, turned things around with the diet, exercise, breathing, rest, and having some sort of dream, some sort of purpose in life, and building a legacy. Not done yet. Got a lot to do yet. So that's basically it.
That's inspiring for anyone that's in that age bracket. I know, because that age group is under the program of don't ask for help. It's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of weakness, for lack of a better word there. Stevie, in your lowest point, it sounds like you asked for help. And how courageous and bold was that for you? And how life-changing was that moment for you when you put your arm out and said, hey, I need some help?
You know, it was a moment when I was doing, it was early on in I took one of Wim Hof's breathing courses, and it was during one of those breathing exercises that I just had this moment that I didn't necessarily ask for help. I just turned the other direction, and I wanted to, my soul called out to me to explore what optimal health was like. And like, my relationships were terrible. I just, my physical health was terrible. My spiritual health was terrible. So I had two choices. Well, three. I could, make an optimal choice, a suboptimal choice, or indifference, and, not give a shit. So the only way I can explain it is I didn't necessarily like call out for help. My
Help
soul
found you.
spoke to me, and I made the decision to start moving in that direction. And I mean, it's a lifelong process. Like, every day I feel like I'm starting new.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'd say you're definitely making a lot of moves. Like I know you're doing the homesteading event. I see what you have like freeze dried foods and you're doing like dried meats now. I definitely see you pushing forward there. And we also, we're both on the Purium, um, which is a great company. So I mean, looks like you are pushing forward for that legacy of, you know, being all about health, and that is what I really know you as, is like a big name in the health. Um, and that's just awesome. I'd love to see you going forward with that. And that's why I was like, when me and Nathan were talking about having someone on the podcast talking about health, I was like, Steve, let's get him on. He's gonna be great to come on and talk about it. And like, I'll have to maybe like get the picture so everyone can see on the podcast too, because like what you looked like before you had to start doing anything, and then now what you look like now, it's just like night and day difference. You can just see like, wow, like such a transformation. You've really, and I think it's inspiring to really like anyone. Like I know Nathan was just trying to say like it's inspiring for everyone, or I guess he wasn't really neglecting everyone, but I just in general, like even like our age group, like it doesn't matter how far you've like been into something or how much you've like brought yourself down a peg, or been attacking yourself or assaulting yourself. There's always room, and there's never like an excuse to say, oh, it's too late. It's never too late. You can always start now to start making progress, to start moving forward. And just like Steve said, it's a everyday kind of thing. It's just continually moving forward. It's not about perfection. It's just about progression. One more thing every single day to try to make yourself better. And like I know for me doing that has had like so many like numerous effects on my life. Just me feeling better every single day compared to what I used to feel when I was just drinking and smoking and, you know, pretty much looking for the best party possible as well, right? Like I'm sure Nathan, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this. Like we both just like we all just feel so much better after choosing. Like actually, I was at work today and people were like, "You don't eat anything, do you?" I'm like, "No, I definitely eat food," because they all they saw me is eating like protein drinks and whatever they offered me to have like some of their food they had in there, like Chick-fil-A or something else that was like equally terrible. I always decline it. And so I was like, no, I eat foods. I just eat organic foods, things that are not processed. I eat actual foods. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. Most of the stuff we bring in here is just is just processed foods. I was like, yep. So like
Yeah.
people
I can relate to
recognize
that.
it's processed. You can relate to that. What was your story?
Me, I can relate to that. It's the same thing with in the workplace I'm in too. They're eating their chocolate and stuff, and I'm sort of saying nah. And then yeah, it's just sort of getting asked the same questions. I bring in my protein smoothie drinks or like my juices and that, and I don't really eat. People ask me the same question: do you eat? I'm like, oh, I fast. I fast and I also eat, but yeah, I choose to eat organic, real food and free range organic grass fed meat. So yeah, if you guys don't have that on the stuff at work, it's like, well, I'll eat my own dinner at home.
You know, and I think a lot of people
You-
see it as like being picky or something, but it's not about being. I mean, I guess in a way, it's kind of like being picky, but it's picky for a good reason. It's not because like, oh, I just don't want to eat that. It's because I know how that's going to make me feel, and I'm
Exactly.
choosing to put something good in myself. You know, like I'm not going to choose something that's going to negatively like harm me, lower my energy, make me feel weaker, lead me to being sick the next week or whatever, right? I would choose something that's going to make me stronger, that's going to make me move forward, that's going to help me build my dream. Because I love that Steve talked about like having a dream, because I think that's so important. Like for me in my life, once I actually had that dream, I was like, hey, now I know what I'm working towards. I'm not just aimlessly going around, right, doing this for no reason. I think it helps you give you a lot more like reason as to the why you're doing it. Besides it just being good for you and helping you like feel good in life. It's just like I know this is what I want. Like I have this vision board over here with like pictures of my ideal land that I'm gonna own, the organic garden. I have like picture of me and my son playing in the water. Like we have all this stuff. It's like that's what I'm building my life towards. And I look at that every single day, every single morning, every single night, and I focus in on that. So having that dream is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. I go riding my dual sport motorcycle down south. There's a spot I like to headquarter out of and go ride from there, and then regroup at night. And a lot of guys are my age, and they notice, like in the morning, guys wake up, they're usually hungover, and I'm doing a little qigong, drinking some green juice, and like I got to go, I want to go ride all day. It's strenuous. And one day in particular, last fall, one fellow who we had a lot in common. He's, combat veteran, couple tours. We ended up being instructors in the military, or for like full time for like the state Ohio National Guard. I think he worked for Texas, and we were training guys to go overseas, and we just had a lot in common. And he was, I think he went through the better part of a bottle of Crown. I don't know if that's a fifth or whatever. And he came back. So fast forward the next day, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he came back all scuffed up, bike's wrecked. He's got, we usually have some armor on the bikes. It's all bent. He's got, like holes in his leather, and he stunk like whiskey, and I don't know what he blamed it on. The road was wet or whatever. And, just like I had this real deep moment of compassion. Like instead of being judgmental, like that was me. I remember like I come up with all kinds of excuses except the truth, which was that I was hungover and I wrecked my bike or I wrecked my car. So yeah, it's very real, and the road that I am going down now, once again, it hasn't been on purpose. It's like this progression. I'm only as healthy as the weakest, sickest person in my community. So, like, I've been going around and finding regenerative farms and grass-fed and finished farms around here, and like telling people for free, just handing out the information for free. And now I'm going to be doing some events here on my property, kind of consolidate these farms. We're going to have like a potluck. We got a couple different ideas we're throwing around. So one guy that I was an instructor with, really high level guy, we were both high functioning alcoholics, training soldiers to go to war, drinking hard at night, misbehaving. Hadn't talked to him in um, over a decade. We'd both left, parted ways. That unit was dissolved like around 2012 when I retired. And we had about an hour-long Zoom call the other day, and he's doing microgreens now. and stopped drinking. He had 3 heart attacks, stopped drinking, stopped smoking, started eating better. He's been shadow following me. He told me, he's like, I've been following you for like 2 years now. And he like, I got to be honest, when I first found you, he was laughing because of who I was before and who I've become now and how I'm speaking on these things. So I had to laugh, like it didn't hurt my feelings at all. Like I was glad somebody was watching, anybody at all, especially somebody that I knew needed to hear the message. So yeah, it's very real, people of all ages.
Yeah. Yeah, people definitely like I love what you said about how you want to help other people in your community, like you're only as healthy as the people around you. And I mean that makes sense to me too, because like when I walk into a room where other people are unhealthy, I usually feel more drained, like they're like I
Mm.
don't know how to explain, like I'm like they're sucking the energy out of me. Like when I walk into my work, I gotta make sure I'm as healthy as possible. I'm good to go, because I feel more drained by the end of the day. When I get out of there, I'm like, man, I just need to go home and go to like a place where I had I don't get feel like that.
Yeah.
And I think it just comes with like awareness of your body and your energy, and like getting out of like that daze from being drunk or high, and just going back into yourself and realizing, hey, like this thing is draining my energy. This thing is, bringing me energy, and kind of basing it off that. Um, but I do want to hear more about like the homesteading event. And I know you said you had like the dry, like I saw like on your like Facebook and stuff, you're doing like dry, like veggie or not veggie fruits and stuff, and like the meats. Are you starting like your own like food company? Is that what you're doing?
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the thing with all that stuff. We always talk about like with the Purium, scaling. It's a bit easier in Purium, simply because they have the products, they do all the shipping, they got all the customer service, they have everything. All we have to do is share with people that we have these foods that, you know, are amazing. So without getting into that, I'm trying to keep it local. We fall outside of the cottage food industry as far as the state of Ohio. Freeze drying falls outside of the cottage industry where you don't have to like label anything.
Nice.
I can't find anything solid. I need to look into it more, but I'm really one of these guys, if they want to, if labels need to be thrown around, and sometimes they do, because we need to know who we're dealing with. And then if someone wants to dig deeper into this, they can. You can always contact me. You guys will put my contact information up here. Sovereign citizen, which is, it's an oxymoron. It can't exist, but that's okay. That's the label people want to throw on kind of how I deal with government. So the business, yes, it's called Noble Savage Foods, and I'm doing wild, regenerative, like elk, bison, buffalo, venison, and ancestral blend beef, because you got to have stuff that's low in fat, so it freeze dries. Uh, you can do regular beef, but it won't store as long because it's got too much fat in it. So that's why I'm sticking with those wild meats that tend to have less fat and more nutrition by weight. The elk is very nutritious. I think 3 ounces of it is half the calories of a serving of beef, and like 3 times the micronutrients.
Wow.
So yeah, it's an amazing meat. So I've got a connection with some hunters, and but right now I'm doing some elk from another source, um, and strawberries. I got eggs, so I've been doing eggs, pastured, raised eggs. So yeah, well, I'm doing some stuff for us, for the house, for the household, and then I hope to bring in some side money with the extras. So again, if you scale up, then you got to get into labeling and um, shipping. I like my free time. So I mean, even though I've got, I build planter boxes. I've been doing that for 5 years now. I do that in the springtime, building planter boxes for people to grow food in. So for me, it's important to have some side hustles, but um, yeah, I'll be growing that as I get more comfortable with the freeze dryer. Right now, I got a bunch of fruit in there, mangoes and strawberries and blueberries. Um, it's pretty cool. It's going to come in handy for hiking trips, camping, stuff like that. And we'll see where it takes us. Yeah, I'm going to have the microgreens guy over here teaching microgreens. I'm going to do the planter box stuff, talk about soil. My wife's going to teach a class on raising chickens. Um, we got a couple of other things going on.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
That is
it'll be
awesome.
fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that idea. I feel like that's a really good way to get people in your community more like aware of what's going on and like make a difference in your community. I think there needs to be more of that because like I always thought like in school they should have like an actual gardening class, right? Like you could actually learn. But I mean, I'm not planning on putting my son in school. We're going to teach him gardening. You're actually, I'm excited this when spring comes here, be planting my own garden here, and my 2-year-old Oliver, he's going to be help me do some planting
Nice.
there. I'm excited for
Yeah,
that.
that's good.
Yeah. What about you, Nathan? Have you been growing anything lately? Are you going to be starting?
That's a good question. I know when I was a kid, my grandfather had a veggie garden that I used to help him look after and stuff. And then he sort of passed away about 12, 13 years ago. Where I'm currently living right now is not where I want to be in the future, but I do eventually want to have my own sort of community bush school health retreat, community garden sort of set up. Yeah, that's like a 10-year plan.
Yeah. That'd be really cool. Because I know the Bush school, have kids out in nature, and then you can have the garden and they can help with it. I think that's a really cool idea. I love
Yeah,
it.
that's sort of where I'm headed off to. Yeah, looking forward to it. But yeah, Stevie, that's awesome. What you're doing. It seems there needs to be more of it. That's what Tanner said too. There needs to be more people doing this to stop relying on the big chains. Well, we call them supermarkets here. You guys call them grocery stores. Stop relying on these things and go back to the old days. Like I got a lot of markets where I'm living right now. We get our fruit and veggies from the local organic market to support these farmers. It's like we can all do these things as well, and even grow it as well. So it's really, really, really good to see.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can. I don't know if you guys what resources you have electronically, but over here we've got Weston A. Price Foundation. You got realmilk.org, I think, or realmilk.com. Eat Wild. There's a few places you can go to find, like using your zip code, your area, and it will show you all of the regenerative raw milk. Here they call them herd shares. You got to do herd shares with the raw milk. And don't get frustrated if the first one or the second one or the third one you call and nobody answers. Typically, they're farmers. So they're not big on it. They don't like sit on their phone all day. So leave a message, follow up, keep calling, and you'll get a hold of somebody. And even if they don't have any herd shares available, get on their list and ask them if they know anybody else, because they all know each other. They share equipment. One of them probably taught the other one how to milk cows. So they all kind of share their own network. So once you tap into one in your area, typically that'll lead to a whole bunch of others. And they're waiting for people. A lot of the herd shares are taken, but get on that list. You can get chicken from them. You can get organ meats, stuff that you might not be able to get in the supermarket in the city. A lot of times you got to go to the country to get your organs, your liver, your kidney, your brains, and all that stuff. And I tell people to, stop saving money at the grocery store. So it's all part of that scarcity mindset. I know Jason talks a lot about this. As self-sabotage coaches, we talk about the scarcity mindset, and it's deep. It's very deep. Like, who doesn't want to save money? Like, and so now I've trained myself. Oh, I want to save money. No, I want to earn double of what I think I'm going to save. What if I think about earning 20% more instead of saving 10%? And just like start talking to yourself like that. I don't know what else to tell people. Like, I stand outside and look around, and like every tree, every house, every car, every piece of road, everything is currency, it's energy, it's money, it's the abundance is everywhere. And I'm still trying to tap into this. I'm no millionaire yet, but like, here's a funny way of looking around. Like, I told my wife one day, I'm looking around like in the garage. I got a storage connex outside, a 20-foot storage container. The basement, my office, the bedrooms. I'm looking around in 2 acres. I'm like, we're already millionaires. We already have $1 million worth of shit sitting around here between this house, everything in it, and the property, and all the, markers and scissors. So I mean, it's just a matter of looking at like there's plenty here. It's just everybody's got to figure out a way to tap into that. But anyway, I found that the higher quality food that I get, my grocery bill kind of stays the same, because I typically eat less food when I'm eating high quality, nutrient dense food. I have a couple power shakes a day, the super aminos for protein. We'll cook like once a day grass fed meat or pasture raised chicken or eggs or sushi. And that's it. The rest of the day, I'm like drinking water, like can't beat this, or cocoa hydrate, usually in the Purium realm, because we got so many products. But, as opposed to before where I was eating, like all day. And I still go through that. Like, I go through hiccups, I still go through eating a pint or two of ice cream. But typically during a 7-day period, like 3 days, I'll just be drinking juice, and I'll feel that it's that feeling. I know you guys have felt it, like you're supposed to be eating something. And it's not even a hunger. It's like this mental thing. Like, I'm supposed to be doing this activity, this movement. Yeah, this habit, like smoking. And I'm like, you're such a dummy. They're looking around for food. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's fake. It's totally fake. Just wait 5 seconds, take a few deep breaths. That little dumb thing. You know what I mean? That dumb, you need to take a deep breath. Like, yeah, it works. So yeah, eat the best food you can afford. And there's nothing wrong with denying yourself or fasting or intermittent fasting, or less is more kind of a concept. So raise the quality of the food, lower the amount of money you spend, because you're going to be going to the grocery store less. How valuable is your time? Like, I like going to the grocery store at night because there's less people there, but it's a big pain in the ass. It's a giant store and I need 3 things. And I gotta, like, they're the furthest away from the door. So yeah,
Yeah.
stop saving money on food.
I
Totally
really
different.
like that. Yeah, because like if you want to save money on not buying cigarettes. If you want to save money on like I remember when I used to drink alcohol, like how much money I actually spent on
Yeah.
alcohol. And I wasn't even
Yeah.
someone who went to the bars. Like I didn't even like going to the bars. But like if someone who goes to the bars every weekend, how much you drop in $200+, right? You could easily buy the organic food and have money left over if you just cut that out. But no, oh, I gotta save money on the food. Oh, I gotta get the McDonald's, but now McDonald's costs more than buying your own grass-fed beef and cooking your own burgers with it, right? So like it's something that a lot of people I think use as a cop out. And I think a lot of people don't even cook their own foods, which is actually really surprising to me. Like they think it's like such like a hard thing to do, but I like to think of like cooking my own food as like an act of self-love. Like when it comes to food, that's the last thing we should be cheaping out on because really what food is just the nutrients, it's the fuel that our body runs off of, right? If we're cheaping out on the food, we're essentially treating our like really nice sports car as a nice little like $500 junker car and not doing any maintenance, not doing anything like that, and it's going to break down eventually. But if we can actually keep our bodies up and healthy, like Steve was talking about, you can actually make more money. You can have better relationships. Like everything is going to become better. And that's what I've experienced with changing my eating habits for sure.
Yeah, and if when and if things get tough, um, I've been in shitty situations in like third world countries, and you know, uh, if you don't have your health, you can live in a shithole and have nothing but your health, and you can pivot from there to any position that you desire. Without your health, you become dependent on other people. Once you're dependent on other people, I'm telling you, we're not going to be there because you have your own shit to deal with. So, uh, you know, yeah, everybody loves to help. You got your brothers, you got your sisters, you got your community, but like 99% of this is you. It's having that community for that last push, that last 10th of a percent, uh, crossing over the summit. But yeah, don't skimp on the food. Like I've worked in hospitals. Uh, I took care of an elderly family member. I went to the old folks home every day for 2 years. I'm telling you, man, like they're there, they're stuck there. My aunt, she fell. It was like the commercial. Fuck, I can't get up. Well, that was that was the last time she got up. She was old. She didn't take care of herself very well, and but yeah, we can. You hear it all the time now, like muscle strength, grip strength. When we start losing muscle, is when we really start to lose control and have that mobility and that vitality. So we can hold that off. We can hold that off. Take better care of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I can completely agree with that. Like it's really important to take care of yourself. I do want to touch back on something that you talked about a little while ago where you said real milk. And
Yeah.
I want to talk about this because a lot of people, when I tell them about like raw milk, they're like, "Oh, you're gonna get some kind of disease. Why are you doing that?" Right? So like a lot of people don't understand that, and I know what you referred to when you said real milk. But do you want to explain it a little bit, Steve?
Yeah, raw milk, at least as far as I know, has been used by man
Mhm.
for a long time. Um, pasteurized milk, homogenized and pasteurized. They push it through a very fine filter. They remove a lot of the fat. They add stuff back in. Anytime you see, excuse me, fortified on a label, they took something out and they're adding it back in. They're selling you back what was already in it. So this is a lot of food, by the way. Um, it's almost like they don't want you to have healthy food. There's this big, I believe it's a misconception, um, of same thing with eggs, salmonella, um, raw milk. You know, can these things happen? You know, yes. Food poisoning can happen really, anywhere. Um, raw milk is kind of a unique food, and that it takes a long time for it to go quote unquote bad. It comes up to the level of discomfort and stink that you're willing to drink slash eat the chunks. It never really goes bad. It just turns into other things, like kefir or yogurt. Um, you'll notice after about a week, the raw milk starts to get kind of a sour smell. And that's just enzymes.
Mm.
If you're looking, and again, it's not for everybody. Everybody's metabolism is different. Everyone's, I don't want to say genetics, but our ancestors, we're more mixed now, so it's difficult for people to dial in the foods. So raw milk isn't for everybody. If you drink it and something bad happens, you take it off the list. And so in Ohio anyway, you have to get a herd share. So you basically buy a share of the goat or the cow, and you basically own it. That's how it's just. This is how the state gets another $50 per person. It's like a driver's license. They hit everybody for $60, plus the farmer has to pay, to meet all these requirements. It's a lot of red tape, but if they don't do it, they'll send a SWAT team out there and seize their farm.
Wow.
It's pretty serious.
Crazy.
I'm not,
Milk.
yeah, I'm not like over exaggerating. They'll send in federal SWAT teams and they will seize everything, and then you'll go to prison. Um, so yeah, that's raw milk. I think California, as weird as that state is, they have open raw milk. You can
In
buy
South Carolina here, I can buy it. There's a really cool like organic shop called 14 Carat, which gets stuff from like local farmers and stuff. And I get raw milk from a cow from a farmer who brings their milk there. We also get their cheese, some raw cheese.
Oh, nice.
Here in Australia, all that raw stuff's pretty much illegal. I know in the state where I was from in Victoria, you guys would have heard of Victoria and Melbourne and Dan Andrews. Well, in that state where I used to live, raw milk's
Yeah.
illegal. But where I'm living now, we sell the raw milk like this, like the farmers sell it as bath milk, and it's not for human consumption. You have to bathe in it, but that's the way of getting around the red tape. They sell it as bath milk. It's actually Cleopatra's bath milk here, but it's in my fridge and I drink it daily.
Love it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there you go.
You can. Some places here sell it as pet food, but I don't know. I don't know how much dealing with the state they have to deal with. Um, but yeah, I was doing raw milk and raw egg milkshakes every day for a year, and it never got sick from the invisible bugs.
Yep. Yeah, me, I usually have a raw milk like Purium chocolate MVP sport.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my wife does one too, and then my son has raw milk because he's been weaning off
Legend.
the booby milk, so he does raw milk and he loves it. Um, and yeah, like it's interesting because I think that's why a lot of people actually have or like lactose is because they're all having this, like pasteurized milk and all the enzymes, all the
100%.
lactase is destroyed. It's like no wonder you can't digest it because you're not getting the enzymes to digest it that's in the milk. And so that's why I tell people and they look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, you drink
Yeah,
raw
I'm
milk? Are
dying.
you serious? So that's thought was funny. Like I figured we should talk about it a little bit because I know a lot of people don't drink raw milk and don't really see
No,
the
I don't.
point of it. So
Yeah, I had a belief, you know. that's something I've been getting into a lot lately is beliefs. It helps you manage how fucked up people are in the world. They're actually not, they're just expressing beliefs that they were taught by people they trusted, and
Correct.
they don't, you know, they don't know any better. And they, unless they hear something from somebody they trust, like a Dr. Fauci or whatever it is, um, you know, it's and again, we know this is self-sabotage coaches. They might know, but well, man, I know if I start to rise up, my tribe is gonna crush me. I got nowhere to go, you know. So it's powerful. We're in a situation right now. Not that it's unlike any other time in history, but for me, it's just it can be weird, and like I'm sure it feels that way for you guys too. And we kind of know what's going on. And all I really know is that I don't know what the hell is going to happen. But being more self-sufficient, more self-reliant, and I told my wife, like, this is out of her category. Her classmates would be like, "You're raising chickens," it's not something I enjoy. I don't enjoy the shit out of this. Oh boy, like every day. You know what I mean? I want to be out doing other things, but this is where things, even if they don't go this way, I kind of like this balance of some of these old world things where I don't have to rely on anybody for food, and technology. Like we're sharing this right now. My generation, we waited for these phones and the internet forever, for research, for connecting with people from that we met that are a long distance away, and writing letters sucks. Um, so, there's nothing wrong with, like you were talking about, Tanner, we're going to do some bushcrafting stuff here too. We're going to do some fire starting, some char cloth, some stuff like that. Um, and if anything, it gets people to spend more time together. We got so disconnected even before the pandemic stuff, and then that was
100%.
the wedge that really, I mean, it really helped clean up the friends list, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's because you're right, because pre whatever they did 4 years ago, there was still that disconnect from, you're right, it was 100%. Like I was, during my whole process, I was listening to people like Max Egan talk, and he was talking about how it was so true. He was saying, "Oh, neighbors don't even speak to each other anymore." And I was like, "Well," and then I'd walk outside to where I used to live, and I'd be like, "I don't even know who lives next door to me." Like, and he was spot on, and then it got me thinking of like, and then I would speak to like my two grandmas, and they would say that they knew everyone in their community. They knew their neighbors. They knew the neighbors' neighbors and the neighbors' friends, and they're all like this one community. And then I look out now, it's like, where is that? And how did we get to this point that in the last 100 years, like even where I'm living now, I do know my neighbors. That's because I've put myself out there to speak to them. But it's like, how did we get to this point where, yeah, where no one, we're all in a little box, and then that's it. It's unbelievable. And then I see where I'm living now, there's farmers markets, there's local markets like there used to be, and my brother and I, we go get our fresh fruit and veggies. We go get our get some like traditional bread. Like we're doing those things we were doing 100 years ago, but it's like people were too convenient. They order their stuff online and they get their food delivered. It's like we've lost that community. We've lost that community in 100 years. It's unbelievable. And even someone like you, Stevie, you've watched the decline of this. You must be sitting there shaking your head, going, "What has happened to this place? We've lost touch." Would you
Yeah, I
agree?
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, things have definitely changed a lot in my lifetime. And I remember when I was younger, I would I would wonder if my grandparents had that, that. So I'm living it now, like, and you guys will. A lot of things are going to happen. Um, and I'm trying to stay positive through the whole thing because I don't know if you're familiar with. I can't even remember the name of his work. But the book is called Power versus Force, and he talks about muscle testing. Paul Chek talks about muscle testing, and he basically went back in history, and this is with tens of thousands of physicians and hundreds of thousands of patients, and their rate of success is very high, close to 100%. In you don't really ask questions; it's how you frame the interaction with the person that you're muscle testing. And what it comes down to is that throughout history, throughout recorded history, that they've been able to muscle test, about 15% of the population typically holds together the other 85%. That 15% is resonating at a frequency with love and compassion and joy, while everyone else is kind of down here in anger and pride and all of these external, fear. So it's amazing that, when you're out there driving around and you look around and you watch the news and you go, it looks like all hell's breaking loose. So what I was getting to, Nathan, is that you're seeing it more, probably because, and I'm seeing it more too, because it's what we're looking for. But I speak to other people that I'm trying to mirror my events off of, and these are guys that do radio stuff, they do medical stuff, they do firearms training, they do hand-to-hand combat training, specialized stuff in events that I'm trying to hold, and they see the same thing. There's more and more people, just because we don't see it. You gotta know that there's that 15% is real strong this time with the homesteading, people raising chickens, every little thing somebody can do. If you just buy one garden box from me and you're able to supplement, you can grow sprouts on your windowsill. You can grow microgreens in a closet, and if everybody starts doing a little bit like this, we can destabilize the local supermarket, and they'll either close or they'll have to shit or get off the pot because they're going to want to know what are people buying? Where are they buying it? Well, everyone's growing their own nutritious stuff. Well, maybe we should start growing a bunch of that, so we can give people a service again, like a grocery store used to. So who knows, guys? You just got to know that there's more guys out there like me, like us, that are building community, and that's what we got to do. Like, you guys do social media stuff. I'm in and out, and my outs are getting longer and longer because it's just I don't really I don't feel like I'm getting a lot done. I'm not talking to enough people. So that's why I'm holding these events. I'm piggybacking on other events with my peering table and the freeze dried stuff. And going out and meeting people and telling them, here's where I live, here's what we're doing, here's what we got going on. We want to have more people come over, have more events, more potlucks, cookouts, training events. And I'm going to do them here in my property. And so at some point, I'm going to be dealing with law enforcement or whatever. So I hope I get to that point where, we're pretty rural out here, but if all of a sudden I get 100 people, 100 cars out on the street, I might have a problem. But let's get to that point first. I really want to create a problem like that. Quite honest, get the police over here and all that good stuff. Make a ruckus.
A healthy ruckus.
That's right.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've already
it's,
been yelled at. I've already been yelled at by the police here for my chickens crossing the road. So
that's funny.
Stevie, if there was someone your age in your age bracket that has lived a life and they're in so much pain, they're really struggling out there, and I feel like that's sort of everyone anyway, really. But I'm just targeting because you're a guest, so you're targeting your age group. If there was someone out there that was really, really struggling and they know the way out themselves. Like they sort of have the intuition, but they're ignoring what's going on. They're ignoring what's going on themselves. What would be your advice to that person to take that first step towards something better, given that they're probably feeling like they're closer to the end than they are at the start, and they're sort of already probably manifesting that happening sooner rather than they probably still have 30 or 40 years here, but they're seeing it as, well, I'm old now, so I can't change. Because a lot of people I in my circles I'm finding are that way inclined. They're like, well, I'm closer to the end now, so there's no point, and they just given up. What would be your advice to that person to take the step towards something better?
well, it's a great question. And I don't even know that you can once again I'll bring up Paul Check. He talks about advice or being a guide and how dangerous that stuff can be. People got to be ready. People have to be
Yeah,
ready for that, for the change on an individual level. Something Rudolf Steiner talks about it. And I'm paraphrasing, but one has to have that one moment in their life of complete honesty and clarity with themselves about where they're at and where they're headed.
100%.
You got to have a dream. Where are you going? You know, if you're lost in the woods and your compass is spinning around, you're lost. I mean, you might eventually get to where you're going, but I mean, imagine the condition you're going to be in when you get there and how many miles you're going to have, how many bumpy roads you're going to have to go down. If you don't have that dream, that goal, and some sort of roadmap, and I do whiteboards on this all the time. Like when you're orienteering or land navigation in the military in the woods with a compass, a lot of times the best thing you can do is to shoot what's called an azimuth or your degrees at something big, a big tree, a big rock, a mountain, a lake, a tower, a structure of some sort, something that stands out, which your eyes, and hopefully you have a map, and on the map, you shoot your direct and you just head towards that thing. You don't have to sit there and keep looking. You're going to trip over everything along the way if you keep checking the compass. So just get your head up, start moving in that direction, and you'll just, there's no balance in life. That's a line of bullshit. And you look at the yin and yang symbol. Thought I had it on a t-shirt, wrong shirt. But the line in the middle, you know what I mean? Or if you're standing on a tightrope, you're, you know what I mean? There's no balance, right? It's a little bit left, a little bit right, a little bit left, a little bit right. You're not just standing there like chilling, like, oh yeah, I got this. So there's the tension, there's the struggle. Um, having a dream or a goal, intention, break that down. Your intention. So when like you pull a rubber band and it starts to pull your fingers back, your intention with that dream, it's pulling you towards it. That's why these things are important to have a dream. Um, and it's not the best party. It's not the new Mandalorian. It's not like those aren't dreams. And love gaming and stuff, but it's not the new game. It's not the new girl. It's not the new television show. It's not the new president. It's none of that shit. Um, the dream has to be original from yourself. I know someone very close to me right now that is in a relationship with a beautiful person that's going to be a brain surgeon. but it's not, I'm not convinced it's their dream. I think it's their parents' dream.
Mm.
And as much as I love these two people, I got to stay out of that. I can't just, well, my self-sabotage mentor says, like people don't want to hear that shit. But on a very deep level, I know Jason's talked about it, like nurses and government employees and these different careers that attract people that can't get jobs anywhere else because they're kind of miserable. I worked in government, so let me tell you something, at least in the United States government, and it's packed with people that can't do a lot, very inefficient. They basically just fart in a chair all day. And these government departments are huge. The VA, the Veterans Administration, it's huge, and it doesn't really look like a whole lot of people are doing anything. So, but anyway, the dream has to be yours. It has to come from you, and it's easier said than done. Some people can, oh yeah, I know what I want to do. Some people got to work at it a little bit, and it can change. It can change. So be flexible. But life is movement. The body loves contrast. So eat different foods. Move your body. And yeah. Enjoy your walk home. That's what we're doing. We're walking each other home. That's why we're here.
Yes.
We're walking each other home, man. So
Hero's journey.
exactly.
I love it. That's probably a good way to finish, I reckon, Tanner.
Yeah, definitely. That was a good talk for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
thanks
Yeah.
for coming on, Stevie. That was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Your wisdom, your knowledge, your everything was just, yeah, I just sat here and just like a sponge today and just soaked it all in. It was really awesome to have you on today, mate. Thank you so much for all that you shared.
I appreciate it, guys. I'm honored. I love your guys' work too.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, everyone make sure you guys follow Steve. He has
When he's on social
TikTok,
media.
Instagram. When he's on social media, we'll post his links down below. He has some great videos, and I always enjoy seeing what you're doing next with like the freeze dried stuff because I'm like, oh man, he's making that. That's really cool. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how your homesteading event goes. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Steve. And thank you, Nathan.
No, thank you. I'll do a bit of an outro. Thank you all for listening and watching wherever in the world you are. Taryn, I will bring you another guest on the Men's Roundtable very soon. Stevie, thank you so much for your time today. Really, really, really appreciate it. And I'm sure listeners and the viewers will as well. So thank you for all that you shared today, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.